On today's ChurchTechCast Q&A show, Windows to Mac, MailChimp, and podcasting. Hi, and welcome again to another episode of the ChurchTechCast Q&A show. This is the show where every week I answer your questions as long as I can do it. If I don't, I do some research and then I talk to someone that knows more than me, since I, of course, don't know everything. Sometimes I wish I did, but I don't. My name is Paul Allen Clifford. I'm your host, and I'd love for you to join the conversation. So either leave a question or comment under the video, drop me a line on email, paul@trinitydigitalmedia.com, or you can always hit me up on Twitter, Paul Allen Cliff, PaulAlanClif. So let's get started with the questions, and in the case of the first one, the comments. Carlos Vega on YouTube says, "Thank you, Paul. This is very helpful. I'm a Windows person, and the church asked me to use ProPresenter 5 on a Mac. I'm able to get around, but these tutorials are very helpful. God bless you." Well, thanks a lot, Carlos. That's kind of my hope that I could be helpful. Just a couple of things on a Mac that you might notice. The dock on the bottom does a lot of the stuff that and it need not absolutely be on the bottom, but that's the default location. The dock does a lot of stuff that the start menu does. You'll notice at the top that menu bar changes from application to application, and each application is in a smaller window, so they don't kind of take over the screen. Additionally, the smaller window might have sub-windows that orbit around it. So Photoshop is one that does that, like that. But you can put a background up so that it feels more Windowsy, but I turn that off immediately. So that's just some of the quick differences. Also, anytime that you would hold down Control on a PC, think the command button, the one with the little, looks like a clover leaf on an expressway, or an apple with the bite taken out of it, that button. That's what Apple uses instead of the Control key. So that's a couple of tips for you. Tim Germain via email, and I've already written Tim back with this stuff, but I thought I would delve deeper into it, says, "How do you get MailChimp to work? Also, I really need to listen to how to do podcasting for teaching the scriptures. Yes, I am busy and just need some time to go over your material. Maybe you can point me in the right direction. Thanks, Tim." So Tim dropped me a line on email because he's on my newsletter, which I'll give you the quick way to get on that and get a free gift here in just a minute. But first, let me answer Tim's question. I do use MailChimp for my newsletter, and I find that it works pretty well. I am seeing some of the limitations of it. I have a background in computer science. I nearly minored in it in college, and so I understand Boolean operators. That's very geeky, but basically you can do some advanced searches by doing things like this but not this, this and this but not this, and in MailChimp you basically got the choice of all of these things or any one of these things, so it kind of limits what you can do. Basically, just to go high level about this, you've got your MailChimp account. In every MailChimp account you have lists, and I have a master list, and then I have a sub list for everything that I give away. So the reason I do that is each list can have its own sign-up form, and by extension, when I send out the confirmation emails, they can have their own links to the gifts that I give away. Within each list, you can have what are called groups. Now, groups include a field in the database where you can have multiple choices. So what I'm using those for is anytime I need to alter or make a note about a subscriber, I can alter that in the database, or I can put that up on the update subscriber form and have the subscribers update their database. So, for example, I sent out an email to all the people who hadn't opened emails in a long time. And I said, hey, do you want to keep going? If you do, just respond back to this. Let me know. If you don't, just do nothing or unsubscribe. Either way is cool. And so I put a group in, still interested, and everyone that replied back to me, I went in and I edited their entry in the database to indicate that they are in fact still interested. So now I can do a search based on that. Another way to use this is I realized that I hadn't kept track of what gifts people had received, and I wanted to give Christmas gifts. So that's something that I do every year, is I give Christmas gifts to my newsletter subscribers. So I asked them to update their accounts with what they'd received, since they know. And I put that on the update subscriber form so they can go to that form, select the appropriate information, and then that updates automatically, and I can do a search based on that. So I've got all sorts of segments, which are basically saved searches, which I can put in manually, or I can have those auto update. So for example, I can have this person, no one has opened these emails in the last 6 months kind of saved search, and then there's a checkbox that has that auto update. So if someone opens one this week, then they're taken off that list. Do you see how that works? So that's some pretty advanced stuff and pretty cool stuff. Since I wrote the book on podcasting for churches, I do have some ideas about teaching the scriptures in a podcast. First and foremost, I want you to define the genre that you want your podcast to be. Figure out what basic structure you want. Now, so find a podcast that is kind of like what you want. You might notice that all my podcasts start with the network ID, followed by a teaser where I tell you what the show's about, the open, and then I get into the meat of the show, and then we close the show off. There are bloopers, like there were today, so you might want to stick around. If there are bloopers, then those bloopers are also indicated or put at the end after the show close. So that is what that's basically how I create my show. I don't reinvent the wheel every week. I don't reinvent the wheel every day. Those are just some ideas about things that you can do. So that's what I would do. I would think, okay, how can I make my show the best that it can be, the most entertaining? I know entertainment is a bad word in church, but really you need to think, how can you be engaging, if that helps you? Instead of entertaining, if you want to think engaging, how can I be the most engaging that I can be in teaching the scriptures? And sitting down with the top of your head as the only thing showing, because you're reading your Bible and you're talking in a monotone, and then it's all you're talking about is how God smited the Aramites, blah, blah, blah. Not engaging whatsoever. So think about how you can engage your audience, how you can draw them in. Make sure you get media hosting. That's something a lot of people think, oh, I'll just throw it up on my website. Bad idea. You're betting against your own success. And use those tips. If you would like my book, Podcasting Church, that's a great way to get ideas as well. Well, I hope that helped you. You may or may not have had those questions. Maybe Tim and Carlos asked the questions that were on your mind. But if not, feel free to drop me a line, as I said. All my contact information is located at trinitydigitalmedia.com/contact. But if you'd like access to my weekly updates, free stuff, there are gifts coming for Christmas if you're watching this before that, then absolutely head over to trinitydigitalmedia.com/gifts, GIFTS, and you can pick the gift that you would like, and you will be able to get updates and free stuff from me. Also, make sure you use a good email address, because that's how you get all the good stuff. So I hope that helps you, and I hope it helps your church go out and change eternity. Until next time, this is Paul Allen Clifford with TrinityDigitalMedia.com. On today's ChurchTechCast Q&A show, Windows to Mac, MailChimp, take two.